This is Moneyline Mania with Chaz and the crew.
Now, Chaz and Wes, I'm sure you missed me last week. I was in Virginia. I had Josh filling in for me. I'm sure you guys absolutely enjoyed it. But how are you boys doing?
Been on with Josh before. Josh is a lot more mellow than you are.
I know. He's a little boring.
Josh was celebrating that he gave pleasantry in comparison to Errol.
Seriously, he first tells us that he is not a homer, and then all of a sudden, when the Mets lost, he wanted to jump off a bridge. And the guy just needs to relax. And the Mets don't pay his bills. Why does he care so much?
We talked about that on Wake and Bake this week with Tommy. Perspective of the coaches. Coaches are making play calls on the football field, and when they're accepting their Super Bowl trophies, none of those do they think about you.
No, they don't give a crap about you. I'm a sports guy, and I'm a radio show host, so I have to love my team. Some people wouldn't even know that I root for some of the teams that I root for, because usually when you hear me talk about them, because they're so damn bad, I'm throwing them under the bus, a.k.a. the Jets. The New York Yankees, which they lost, they're tied 1-1 going into tonight's game, where if they lose, they'll be down 2-1, and I would say they're done. And then the Islanders, the Knicks. I want to tell all the fans that you guys, since you started 10 months doing Moneyline Mania with us, you guys are at 83.8% of your picks.
I'd love it if there was a way for the listeners to communicate with us how much they've made, listening to what we have to say and just doing the right thing with it. Even if it's somebody that's betting $5 and $10 and they've somehow gotten themselves a tank of gas.
It has nothing to do with the money. It's about being right. I write about these games too, so I have to put it out in writing. When I write for the game and it comes out exactly like I said it, the fact that I won money too is irrelevant. Wes does his Discord on his recording. You give out 7 plays and you're 6-1. It's pretty cool.
That's why you listen to this segment. You want to make money.
They've always been very complimentary, how well we've done. Billy Elvis, who's been doing Sports Betting Week with us for like 7 years now, is in Ohio, and he's the program director at 93.7 Fan. Because I do a 3-teamer with them. 93.1. I call it the 93-teamer .1, but it's not working with the title. So last week I swept the board, and I gave him a 3-teamer. I gave him the same stuff we talked about here.
Right.
Because I remember telling Josh about it. I had Ohio State, the over in the Cleveland Chargers game, the Bengals. So I had an underdog, a total, and a favorite. And they all won. Nothing. I didn't get a chirp off all week, and then this week I got, are you ready to do our call? I said, what do you mean to do the call? And I yelled at him online, on his show. If somebody does that for your audience, you say thank you, good job, you do something.
Right.
So, Errol, thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, I love you guys. You guys are as good as it gets, especially when it comes to handicapping. And if people don't listen to this segment, and you rather listen to our friend, yes, Eric Coleman, in his betting exchange, and Eric is a good friend of mine. He likes to say that he's always right, but boy, oh boy, anybody that takes James Harden over Allen Iverson, he completely loses any thought of mind to make any bets on any of his
Credibility.
picks. His credibility is absolutely in the garbage. You heard me, Eric. In the garbage. Anyways, here we go, boys.
What I do at night, I look for some late action, then I match it up with a pro game in a parlay. So I've got the straight bet and I got the pro bet. And when I wake up, all I got to do is look at my balance. If my balance went up, then I know I'm also live on the parlay. If my balance stayed the same, then I'm dead on the parlay too. And I was all over Green Bay in the first half, and it worked out well because after that it went down quickly. We talked about it on Canadian Thanksgiving Day. Monday we had the game that I gave out for you last week, Wes, on this show, the Tale of Two Halves as well.
I'm going NFL twice. The first one is probably not going to make me any friends. The second one is probably going to raise some eyebrows because of some things I said earlier in the season and because of how well Chaz knows me. I'm actually going out to Lambeau Field. I love what the Jets have been doing, and they've covered some spreads for the last couple weeks. They've shown up in some spots. What I'm going to talk about there is looking at the Jets. They've allowed some points to teams that are not scoring a lot of points. They played against the Steelers, and they allowed the Steelers to score 20 points. I do like the defense, and I like what they're doing. They smoked a broken Miami. I mean, there was a lot going on in Miami. That game made sense. I would have really questioned the Jets as a team if they couldn't put a bow on Miami in that game. The Bengals are struggling from top to bottom, and they have every symptom of a Super Bowl hangover. They actually lost to the Bengals. led by Jacoby Brissett. They let the Browns hang 30 points on them. So now we're going to go back to Green Bay. The Jets are traveling to Green Bay. Green Bay just lost to the Giants in a game that they shouldn't have lost. I think they lost the game the way they lost the game because they were coming off of an OT scenario with New England. They got taken to their limits in a game that they weren't ready for it. Green Bay right now statistically is averaging less than 20 points a game. That's not an Aaron Rodgers-led offense, and I don't see that lasting very long. Now, let's go to the financial side of things. The point spread is started at 9.5. The spread, over 60% of the wagers, a significant amount of money in there too, has been on the Jets side of things, taking points. So much so that it's now shifted to 7.5. I had to lay 9.5 on Green Bay, but now it's shifted to 7.5. 7 probably by kickoff. That doesn't feel like a bad number to lay. On paper, Green Bay should smoke them. The only reason we're questioning it is because there's been some highs for the Jets the last couple weeks and some lows for Green Bay the last couple weeks. I'm laying 7 or 7.5 points. And I think Green Bay is going to show up. Rodgers is going to Rodgers. Yeah, and Rodgers is just silently 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for 1,100 yards. Like, that's a bad season. I love Green Bay in this spot. I'm laying the points.
The Jets have allowed in 11 of 12 double digits in the first half. I'm also on Green Bay, but I am not playing them for the game. I will play them for the first half. I saw this stat last week, and it just kept gotten worse. In their last 9 second halves, they are 1-8 against the spread. Now, part of that is exactly what Wes was mentioning. The Packers get more points. The Packers, the Chiefs, the Tampa Bay, New England, when they're rocking and rolling, they get more points. A line that should be 7 is 10. A line that should be 3 is 5.5. In the NFL, those are a lot of points.
With the secondary the Jets have in Gardner and DJ Reed, I think they're two best corners right now in the NFL. I think they're going to have problems throwing the ball. They're going to have to use the running backs, Dillon and Jones, in the backfield, maybe a lot of screen passes. This is the only way they're going to beat the Jets. Look at what the Giants did against the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Green Bay Packers, much more talented than the New York Giants, and they could not throw against this defense in the second half. The Giants secondary is nowhere close to what the Jets are providing. I know you guys have Green Bay winning this game and the line on this. I think the Jets could win this game. I think it will come down to the fourth quarter, and the Jets have been the second best team in the NFL scoring points in the fourth quarter, coming back from 10 to 12 point deficits. I have the Jets winning this game outright. Shock people. This defense, this front seven, the last 2 weeks. I know they played against backup quarterbacks, young quarterbacks that haven't had a chance to really shine in the NFL, but you still played against a very good offense, you still played against a good defense, and you still put up the points that you did. So I think Breece Hall is for real. I think the wide receivers that the Jets have are real, and they're only getting better every single week. And Zach Wilson, second since he's come back when it comes to quarterback rating in all of the NFL. He's accurate, and he's not throwing the ball away, and that's a good sign for the New York Jets.
Bottom line is those two New York teams are 7-3, and I have bashed them quite regularly in the last 9 years of my Sports Betting Weekly career. Congratulations to those fans that are enjoying two teams that have winning records.
I agree, Errol, with just about everything you said about the Jets. They can't win them all. I just simply don't like them in this spot. If they do beat Green Bay outright, everybody's wrong. Green Bay being the favorite. They got nothing but green grass in front of them. They got Buffalo twice. They go to Denver, which can be challenging just because of the travel. New England twice. They got the Bears. The Vikings could be a challenging game. They get Jacksonville, the Lions, and Seattle as their season finale. If they do beat Green Bay, there's an argument that there's only 3 guaranteed losses on that schedule. The rest of it could be just a dogfight.
If the Jets have 5 wins going into their bye week, there's a very good chance the Jets could win 8 or 9 games.
Does anybody remember what the Jets' win total was back in August? 5.5.
Yeah,
they got 3. You're in really good shape if you got that over.
I told everybody they're going to win more than 5 games. I think that the Jets could absolutely win 8 or 9 games this year if they continue doing what they're doing. You stopped Waddle and Tyreek Hill last week. I don't care who's playing quarterback. You stopped 2 dominant wide receivers. Who are they going to be able to throw to, even with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback?
This one that I'm calling is going to surprise Chaz very much.
I already know what it is because the way you set it up. If we had the game where I had to hold the card up with the right answer, I think I'd have the right answer.
So I'm going Monday night. I historically do not touch primetime games. I think they're the easiest game to lose, and they're the easiest game to mess with your head. You lose the last game of the week, you rush into something good or bad. This is a pick that I have posted for my members. I really like Denver in this spot. You got a matchup right here against the top 5 pass defense and a top 5 pass offense. Something's got to give there. I don't think that the Chargers get very much respect in that home stadium. So I don't really call that much of an advantage. Denver's defense is good. The Chargers are not rushing the ball very well, which even if they were, they're going up against a top 15 defense in Denver. Denver doesn't really have to score very many points in this game if they can hold the Chargers. The defense is just so bad. I've been very outspoken on this show how much of a joke I think that Denver head coach is. This scenario in a division opponent with this type of point spread in a very weak home field advantage. I think this is a great spot for Denver. It's a great spot for Russ. Denver's got some good running backs. They will keep Herbert off the field long enough to do some damage. Denver's got a good O-line. Chargers are banged up on defense. This is just a great spot. I think Denver's winning this game outright.
I've seen Denver play. I've seen who they played. That's a stretch. The only way they're winning that game is they have to do everything Wes says. They have to keep the ball away from the Chargers. They have to have a good run in the game. Yeah, that's a no play for me.
I have Denver winning it outright. Russell Wilson needs to prove himself, and everybody's attacking him all over social media. They're not scoring. Look what they did on Thursday Night Football. They were embarrassed against an Indianapolis team. Defensively, they haven't played well this year. Ever since Eberflus went over there to Chicago, this defense hasn't been the same, and I think Frank Wright is on his way out after deciding to part ways with their quarterback, even though Ron Rivera is a complete moron over there, throwing his quarterback under the bus after what he did playing with a hurt shoulder on Thursday Night Football. But nevertheless, I got Denver outright winning this game, and I think Russ finally has a good game and shuts people up.
You don't see Blackhawk West or Worldwide West spewing anything about Sunday night, Thursday night, or Monday night.
I like the spot, and there's some value there too. I liked it at 3 the way it posted. It's 4.5 now. It's a no-brainer. And what you're saying about Russell Wilson and some of the things that are being said about him, he's one of the most mentally tough athletes we've seen. Some of the things he did in his college career, and he describes scenarios and he looks at the group and says, why not us? He just takes this mentally tough attitude, and they're not out of the division either. I'm not going to bang that drum.
That division, what everybody thought was going to be the best division in football, has been one of the worst divisions in football.
The Chiefs are the Chiefs.
I'm talking about the Chiefs. There were people saying that every single one of those teams were going to win 9 or 10 games.
Yeah.
Not only that division, the Russ move made sense, but the Herbert comparisons to Mahomes, there was a lot of Mahomes bashing in the offseason. Yeah. Very uncalled for. Mahomes and Josh Allen is Brady and Manning at this point, but all the Mahomes bashing, it doesn't make sense to me. We're about 2 years away from having never seen somebody like him ever. If he mic dropped it, he's in the Hall of Fame.
But he also has a star tight end. Getting 4 touchdowns in a game on Monday Night Football.
Oh, no, and let's not downplay how important having a good coach is. The coach doesn't always get the positive. They get bashed, just like you guys have already bashed 3 or 4 coaches I've heard tonight. Andy Reid's a big part of his success.
I'm an Ohio State fan, and I am angry that the Chicago Bears drafted Justin Fields because it almost guaranteed he was going nowhere with his NFL career.
Poor guy. He's just getting beat up.
God, I watched that organization destroy Jay Cutler and all the promise that came with them when they traded away their future.
They have another quarterback coming out of this year's draft who's going to be the number 1 pick in Stroud.
CJ all day.
The season that he's having, the only quarterback in NCAA history to have 3 games with 6 touchdowns or more. It's fantastic. The Buckeyes, they are known for their defense. They're really not known for their offense. Wide receivers, yes, over the years, but not putting up the numbers they're putting up right now. They're bashing everybody. And to me, even though they're ranked number 2, they're the best team in the country.
Under Ryan Day, it's shifting to offense. Ryan is gone out and got a D coordinator because he knows that side of the ball is slipping. Defense was the difference in these last couple playoff games in the Natty against Bama. Under Urban Meyer, it was defense.
Oh, absolutely.
Urban wanted the quarterback that was going to be a battering ram and run. I mean, Cardell Jones, it didn't matter who they put in the game.
He was so big. Remember how big he was?
Yes.
He was so big. I told somebody, I feel bad for Vicky because I'll be rooting for Cleveland. Something will happen, then I'm rooting for New England in the same game, and she's totally confused. But the data says bet Cleveland in the first quarter and bet the Patriots in the second half. So I don't handicap that game. How many times, Wes, do you see me do the first half over, second half under? But it's so funny how the data is just a snapshot. Remember, the lines move. So if I'm telling you that the line on Denver Colts game in the second half was -1.5 for the Colts, yeah, that might be something you have, but you could have bet that game because I had a winner one of the games where the final line for the second half was 1, but I got 2.5 and it ended on 2. But if you bet it late, you got one. When you're betting second halves before the game starts, you're hopping on the line that benefits you. And if you're giving points, you bet early. If you think it's going to be over and they're betting the over, you get it early, and otherwise you wait. 10 minutes doesn't seem much, but if you've ever done what I've done, hence the name Second Half Chaz, I sit and deal with second halves and watch the numbers change right in front of my eyes. Very similar West to live action, you know?
There's some roll of the dice there, but it's gambling. You wait and you watch those numbers move, and SMU played Navy. The spread was 13. SMU went down by 3. Then it immediately changed. You can catch it at 10.